Reign of Christ Sunday. It was started about 100 years ago, a little bit less than 100 years ago. But for most of us, we don't know that today happens to be the end of the liturgical year. Next week, we start again with Advent. It'll be that new year. Now, I don't know about you, but when the holidays are coming, I like to go around and clean my house. I don't want any cobwebs. I don't want any clutter. I want to have the closets looking good. And this weekend, we started to do our decorating. We have to put our tree up today. But we're getting ready. We're excited because Advent is almost here and Christmas is almost here. And it's time for us to get ready. I think today is also a time for us to get ready. It's time for us to remember that Christ is the King of all. It's time for us to remember that our King is not like the kings that you see in Disney or that you see on the TV. He's not a king that sits in his royal throne and has servants all around and has gold all over the place. Our King is a king who loves. Our King is a king who wants us to go forward and help those who are hungry and give them food. Help those who are thirsty and give them water. Help those who are lost and lonely and are told by the world out there that they don't matter, and tell them that when they come here, they matter. Because we are the children of God. We are the children of God, and we are the disciples of God. And we are called to live out our faith. Now, I know that sometimes when I do my house cleaning, I find things that I didn't know were there, especially in the refrigerator. Cleaned the refrigerator yesterday, yuck. And sometimes in our own selves, we find things, bad habits that we've gotten into. Maybe we've been a little bit grumpy towards others. Maybe we need to ask forgiveness to others. Maybe we've been so stuck in our own things that we've forgotten what it means to truly be a disciple of Christ. And so on this day, when we remember that Christ is our King, when we remember that we are called to be followers and to share the good news and to go out there and be the hands and feet of Christ, it's also an opportunity for us to look at ourselves, to make ready, to prepare for Advent, to do some soul cleaning, to look at ourselves and to say, are there things that I need to do to be more ready? Are there things I need to do to be prepared for the one who is coming, the child that is coming into my life, the child that is going to remind us that peace, love, hope, and joy are the things that God calls us to live and to use in our words and our actions? I think so. I think it is important for us to use this time to remember that Jesus is our King, that Jesus is the one who came here to taught us, to guide us, to show us how we are to live. It's also a time for us to realize none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. We all say things we wish we could take back. We all do things we wish, oh my goodness, how did I do that? But this is an opportunity for us to stop, to regroup, to get prepared for the new year, the new church year, the new time of welcoming in the Christ child. It's time for us to say, I'm sorry, and give forgiveness. It's time for us to look at what it truly means to reach out to those who are lost and lonely and those who need to know that they are loved. I read a story last night that I haven't read for a long time. And you know, there are stories and parables out there that I think are really, really important for us to look at and read so many times during our lives. This one I know I've shared with you before, but I think it's worth listening to again. And it goes like this. There was a monastery that was in this wonderful town, and it was growing, and it had lots of people coming, and they were worshiping, and they were celebrating, and things were great. But slowly, over time, less people came. Less people joined the monastery. Less people came to worship. And the numbers were shrinking. And the monastery looked sad. The head monk was really sad in his heart. So he went out into the wilderness and he prayed. And he came across a hermit. And he said to the hermit, things are really bad in the monastery. We might have to close it. It's falling down and people people are grumbling and we don't have any new people coming. It's really sad. And the hermit said, but there's no reason for you to live like that, for I have a secret for you. Among you is the Christ. Among us is the Christ? Yes, said the hermit, one of your monks is the Christ, come to visit you, come to live among you, come to share the good news, come to be there to be your teacher. Do you know who it is, he asked. And the hermit said, no, that is for you to discover. So the monk went running back to the monastery, and he shared the good news with all of his brothers, and word got out throughout all the village and out into the mountains, and people started coming, and people started worshiping, and the people that were there started treating each other with compassion, love, acceptance, because they never knew who it was that was the Christ within them. Was it you? Was it you? Was it you? And instead they started treating each other the way that Christ asks us to treat each other. As we get ready to enter into the Advent season, I think our challenge today is for us to look at each and every one of us as the Christ. To look at each and every one of us as being the child of God. To remember that we are called to be disciples. That we are called to be loving and compassionate. That we are called to be understanding and welcoming. We are called to reach out a hand to those who are lonely, to feed those who are hungry, to offer water to those who are thirsty, spiritually thirsty, as well as physically thirsty. As we get ready to enter into Advent, I challenge you to do some house cleaning of your own. Look at the places in your own life where you've forgotten to be loving and kind. Is there a place where you're holding a resentment? Is there a place where you need to offer forgiveness? Is there a place where you need to remember that your neighbor is actually Christ shining back at you? May you walk this week, and may you encounter the living Lord each and every time you say hello.